Take me to Pointe Aux Chenes Wildlife Refuge.
Head northwest, then turn left.
What's up, YouTube? We're over at Pointe Aux Chenes Wildlife Management Area at the Grand Bayou Unit. We're about to take the boat out that we just repaired. We're gonna go catch some crabs. So stick around and see how we do. They had a lot of people over at the weir, so we decided we would just put the set nets out in the turnouse. At this point, we had already put them out earlier in the video, and the GoPro was doing GoPro things, and we lost that footage, so the traps wasn't doing that good, so we decided to pick them up from the turnouse that we're in right now, and we ended up moving them one turnouse over. Wind died down a lot by midday. It was still bad enough that our microphones were taking a beating. We're running standard microphones with no dead cats, but the wind did die down enough that we could launch the drone. Monique decided she would toss the cast net and the Trenos as the weirs were still just loaded down with people. We made another round by the weir and noticed that just about everyone was gone. Well, after spending like an hour and a half, we found out why. We got a few bait fish in the cast net, 3 crabs in the crab nets, and we decided to ditch the weir because, like I said, we spent an hour and a half and ended up making our way back to the Trenos just east of the weir for a little bit better crabbing. We have just over 3 dozen crabs in the ice chest at this point. There's some pretty nice crabs too. None of them are under 6 inches. We don't keep a lot of females. A female crab can lay up to 18 clutches of eggs in her lifetime, with each clutch containing approximately 2 million eggs. Being a conservationist, we find it hard to unnecessarily take young female crabs out of the ecosystem. We would rather have less crabs on the table and leave some females out there to make babies so that we can continue harvesting crab well into the future. That being said, we did keep a few very large female crabs on this trip. The bottom of these females was rusty, meaning that they've been in their terminal shell for some time. A blue crab can live up to 4 years, normally reaching maturity by about 1.5 years. In Louisiana, a female crab can lay up to 3 clutches per year. Here's a photo of one of the females that we harvested during this trip. As you can see, this one measures nearly 7 inches. All of the females that were harvested were between 6.5 and 7 inches.
Dirt on my boots and a dream in my veins. Let's ride. I was born where the map turns gray. One pump town with a 2-lane way. Front porch sitting on a Friday night. Pick a parked in the glow of the porch light. Mama taught me work comes first. Daddy said, boy, know your worth. Ain't got much, but I got pride and a backbone built from county lines. 'Cause I'm back roads raised, some big soul. Bonfire burning where the wild things go. Radio up with the window down. That's how we do it in a no-name town. Cornfield heart with a rebel blaze. Living this life in 1,000 ways. But every mile I flipping stones off a muddy creek bend. Got scars from fights and fake best friends. Got a girl that rides like the wind I chase, with a guy's got me cross on a pretty face. Raised on grit, not just on grain. Learned to dance in the middle of the rain. If the city calls, I might swing by, but the roots I run too deep to die. Cause I'm back roads raised, sun-baked soul, bonfire burning where the wild things go. Radio up with a window down, that's how we do it in a no-name town. Cornfield heart with a rebel blaze, living this life in 1,000 ways, but every mile I've ever made, yes, back roads raised. Some chase gold, some chase fame. I just chase peace in a simple name. You can find me where the fireflies glow, still free, still real, still riding slow. Back roads race, can't fake that fire. Born in the dust, built up high. Radio up with a flag on the gate. Country pride running through every state. Cornfield heart with a rebel blaze, living this life in 1,000 ways, but every road I've ever paved, yes, back roads raised. Still back roads raised.
Alright, YouTube, so here we're getting ready to cook the crabs. In Louisiana, we don't steam crabs. I understand all you guys up the Maryland coast and some of the people over in Florida like to steam crabs, but you see, when you steam a crab, you only get the seasoning on the outside. When you boil a crab, you mix the seasoning in the water, and that water goes throughout the carcass of the crab that actually seasons the meat. And you know, people in Louisiana like to taste their seasoning. So here I'm getting ready to wash the crabs. Just gonna run over them with the water hose a little bit. They got some leeches and some other stuff on them. I don't always wash the crabs, but in this case I am washing them because they were a little bit dirty. I'm getting ready to light the pot. What I usually do is just turn the propane on a little bit and just spark it with a fire starter, long lighter style tool. I set my burner a little bit higher to begin with to get some more BTUs in the pot, and then once I get the fire rolling, I'll back it off. Monique is not very photogenic a lot of times. She will walk and stand right in front of the camera. Or if she's holding the camera, she'll like cut half your head off. I use Louisiana brand seasoning. I'll put about 1/4 of this bag in whenever I boil my sides, and then I put the rest in whenever I go to cook the crabs. This bag does like 5 or 6 dozen, so If I'm only doing 2 dozen, then I may have put another quarter of the bag in for that. We're cooking 41 crabs in this cook. It's what we caught today. Decided to put just a little bit more. Pushing that burner up a little bit. Again, just trying to get a few more BTUs in the pot. The quicker you can get the water to boil, the less time it takes me standing there waiting around. I'm gonna put 20 minutes on the clock, and we're gonna put our potatoes and our onions in. We use these little small pearl onions and some small potatoes. I like using the smaller potatoes and onions because they'll cook in that 20-minute time frame. We're going to cover the pot and we're going to let the timer run. Now that water's boiling real good, I'm gonna back off on this fire just a little bit again and just save some propane. Once you get the water boiling, it don't take as many BTUs to sustain the boil as it takes to get the water actually boiling. Now, in 5 minutes left on the clock, 5 or 6 minutes, I'll put my sausage in. The sausage is frozen. I hug closer to the 6-minute mark. If it's defrosted sausage, then I hug closer to the 5-minute mark. If I'm doing hot dogs, I'll throw hot dogs in at the 3-minute mark, but we're not doing hot dogs in this cook. I'm going to use the paddle to prop the handle up. And I'm going to take the water hose. I'm going to spray that handle off so that it cools that handle and I can grab it without burning the world out of myself. And I'm just going to use a light mist just over the aluminum handle just to be able to cool it off a little bit. I'm going to set that basket on the edge of the pot, let it drip off. And I'm going to take the water hose and I'm going to cool the bottom of the basket. Cooling the bottom of the basket just allows me to touch the bottom of the basket, and so I can dump them in a container. We keep the sides separate. I'm gonna turn the fire all the way up, and I'm gonna get that pot to where it's just about ready to boil over. Now when I dump the crabs into the strainer basket for the pot, you can see the line where the seasoning was boiling in the pot. As long as my crabs are below that line, I won't add any more water. If my crabs come above that seasoning line in that basket, then I'll have to add water and wait for it to come to a boil again before I put the crabs in. But I usually get this fairly good. I hardly ever have to add water. As soon as you drop these crabs in there, you're going to kill the boil. But we got the water really hot so that it is superheated, and it will recover faster. If I'm boiling a lot of crabs, I have a propane weed burner is what it's called. You get it at Harbor Freight, and I will hook it up to another propane bottle. I'll take and go around the outside of the pot with the weed burner just to be able to put a few extra BTUs in the pot. Seeing the pot kind of starting to come up to a boil there. I'm going to set my time clock for 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes after you see the bubbles in the pot. Cover the pot to maintain some of that heat and steam in the top, and I'm going to back that fire down just a little bit to sustain that boil. What you're seeing me mess with right there is the few shrimp that we caught. Excuse me, that's the crab legs. We had some crab legs that had broke off in the ice chest, so I'm just throwing those crab legs in there. With about a minute and a half left on the clock, I'll start getting ready. I'll cut that burner back to just about 0 with about 30 seconds left on the clock. The water still boils for a while after you kill it. That's just again, it just saves a little propane. I'm cooling the outside the pot a little bit. Monique's getting some ice ready. We put ice to stop the boil. If you leave the crabs sitting in the boiling water, they'll continue to cook. Now, once we kill the fire, we want to let the crabs sit in the pot until they sink. That's going to be sure that they absorb seasoning and get the meat nice and flavorful. She's gonna just dump that pail of ice in there, and I'm gonna stir it in and bob the basket up and down and kind of get the ice circulated around in there. Now the water's still hot. It's probably about 115, 120 degrees. It stops the meat from cooking.
I just gotta say that we don't share the same dreams.
And here we're just waiting for the crabs to sink. This could take 5 minutes. I've had it take as long as 15 minutes for the crabs to sink in the water.
The bus. Care it all about someone else's cat, or politics or sports, or any of that. The stuff you show me makes me wanna hurt myself. Not even gonna rhyme it seriously. Stop making me look.
I'm gonna spray that basket off just to be able to cool it off a little bit, so that when I carry it inside, I can put my hand on the bottom of it and spread the crabs on the table. If we got a whole lot of people coming over, we'll put newspaper and cover the whole table. But if it's just like me, Monique, and her mom, then we just eat on some aluminum trays and throw the peelings in some of those green bins. And in the house we go. We're gonna put the spread on the table. This is in my little shop area in the back. We're gonna put the spread on the table and sit down and enjoy our meal. I had some footage of us eating, but unfortunately the GoPro doing GoPro things, and that footage disappeared. So if you made it this far in the video, I'd like to thank you. The algorithm likes it whenever you make it this far. And if you made it this far, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like. If you like what we do around here, give us a subscribe, and you can watch us do outdoor activities and work on all kind of random things that I like to tinker with in my spare time. Hope you enjoyed watching.